call the July 9th Clinton Utility Board of Directors meeting to order. There are first order of business is the election of officers under 18103D. We have a municipal code. We are supposed to elect a chair and a vice chair this evening. So, are there any nominations for chair?
Since you're doing such a great job, I will nominate you. Unless somebody else wants it.
There's a motion on the floor.
I'll second that.
Second, Mr. Harrell. All right. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, gentlemen. We also need to elect a vice chair. Is there a nomination for the vice chair?
Who's Stephen right now?
Yes, Stephen right now.
I'll make that nomination.
That sounds good. Motion. Is there a second for Mr. McNally?
Unless somebody else would like to do it.
Unless somebody else wants
I
it.
think we're. I think we're.
Her Jim wants it.
No.
The motion and a second for Mr. Crowley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we got that taken care of. All right, let's move on to. There's no public comment. No public here tonight for the comment session, so we'll move on. Address that if anybody comes in. Let's move on to the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
The motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approval of the vouchers. Any questions on those?
So moved.
Mr. McBride's first. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Crowley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Approval of the monthly reports for May.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to defer to Dusty, and he can give a report on that, please.
May was a good month. The electric department continues to be successful with a net margin of $111,000, with a year-to-date total of almost $3 million. This exceeds our forecast year-to-date by about $1,064,000. The weather in June was in line with our 15-year average, having the same average temperature of 76.3 degrees, but slightly less than June of 2025, which had an average of 77.4 degrees. Had 8 days in June that exceeded 90 degrees. This resulted in a load factor of about 56.3%, which is down slightly from our June 2025 load factor of 57.4%. Does anybody have any questions about electric?
Well, July sure started off with a bang.
Yeah, it did.
Any questions about the financials? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Harrell, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. McBride. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's move on to project staff report, please.
We have.
Oh, water and sewer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dusty.
No, that's all right. Water and Sewer Department had a successful month in May, posting $131,725 change and positive change in that position. This was largely due to the PFAS settlements that we received in May. This puts Water and Sewer Department at $1,345,000 positive change for fiscal year 26. Any questions?
We've already approved it. That's true. Generally, we would just want to put those together.
Yeah, we'll put together minutes, please. All right, move on to the project staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have got several that we're tracking in the electric department, and Todd, I'm going to ask you to brief the board on that.
Thank you, sir. As you see there, we've got 3 projects there on the electric department we've been tracking. The first is the final project from last fiscal year that we completed in June with the New River Highway job, which is now complete. That got done in June on time as we expected. All went well. And the second 2 there, Arrow Cable over Coconut Lane in Claxton and the Tabor Hills upgrade, which are the first 2 in this year's fiscal budget that we approved at last month's board meeting, that we're just now getting started on those, but have no reason. Those everything's going as planned, ready to kick off on those, and should be done as scheduled there. Any questions on any of those?
Now that the New River project is finished, I see that the cost was just through close to the end of May. What do we expect? Is there a rough expectation it's going to be close to 288?
We would expect it still to be in line with the initial estimate. There's still the June labor to come in there and materials to hit that, but it still should be right in line with what we
it's
estimated.
what we call POST, payroll, overhead, stores, and transportation. And what gets us is the overhead, because we spread that across the jobs. If there's many jobs, it's spread like this. If there's a few that close, it's spread under a very few. So there can be aberrations in that. We're not expecting any, but that's what will get you every time, because we get it right down to the net side, and it's hard to figure those overheads because we have to spread them across the active jobs. If you're ready for water and sewer, I'll ask Greg to tell us about where we are on downtown.
Good news, the water and sewer portion of the downtown project is completed. All construction activities that have taken place is completed before the July the 4th holidays. So it's just it's going to be closed out. Expect another pay estimate and then final change order on that project for closeout. If there's any questions on that or anything, there's another bit of information. Miss Bardell from Meadowbrook, her E1 pump has been installed. It was installed prior to July the 4th holiday. With the recent rainfall events, there was no issues down there. We do have to install a riser and do final cleanup on her property. But other than that, everything seems to be going good for her and her family.
And she's communicated that positivity to Greg and his team down there.
Yes.
Good.
That's good.
That's good work. Anything else on those? Let's move to approval of work orders.
Yes, sir. We've got one work order for your approval. It is it's dealing with the widening of Edgemore Road, and that is what Greg is looking for is in that project. I'll just let you tell about that work order, buddy, instead of me just trying to read it here.
The project's going to be going on in phases. It's going to expand the roadway all the way from Solway out to Clinton Highway, Highway 25 out there. The first phase, though, is from the bridge to Clinton Highway. It's going to turn in from, they got the turning lane, center turn lane, but it's going to widen to 4 lanes of traffic with 1 median. So it'll be a total of 5 lanes along through there. And the water and sewer will have to be relocated. And this is a Chapter 86 funded project. TDOT supports it. And so this is for the engineering services along for the design to meet TDOT's criteria.
So engineering only?
Engineering only. We'll have to do the cost estimate and everything else after the design's completed too.
It's going to be
on
substantial.
construction.
Yeah, there was, yeah.
And I can tell you, since we're on that, and Todd has already raised the flag on that, we're going to have to move the electric too. And that could be every bit of $4 or $5 million to do that. And there's a $2.5 million cap right now on that. So we're going to be ringing our representatives' bell and see that cap gets increased, because it just makes no sense for the residents, the ratepayers, to fund that kind of an upgrade. It could be, again, an additional $2 and $2.5 million to the ratepayer over and above that cost.
Is that a cap that's set on all projects like that or something, or is that particular project got the cap? I mean, how did they come up arbitrarily?
I
with that
think
number?
that's for TDOT in general, that's a cap on that. So no, I don't know, are there ways through legislation, can we get that specific with this project? But that's a standard cap.
Okay.
We're thinking a couple of years out,
Yeah.
but
We're looking 2029 for construction.
we're not
on
going
that.
to wait for that to come. We're going to be pushing for that, try to get a waiver.
So is this is reimbursed?
Up to the cap is
The
$2.5
cap.
million
So we eat above, or at least try to pay, theoretically we eat above 2.5.
as
So
it stands today.
do you have, like in my world, I can usually say that my design fees are 5 to 6% of total project cost. Do they kind of have an idea of what the project's going to be, or they really got to do the design on the front end?
They got to do the design on the front end because of TDOT's requirements. If we got to purchase any right of way or anything like that, the ideal of it is water and sewer is going to stay within their right of way. But if not, we'll have to purchase right of way.
And it's going to be a gone, because you've got ACWA, down there with their sewer, and we got our sewer down there, and then we've got our water down there, and it's not going to be easy. We would like to see the county and CUB to work an agreement out on how all of that should fly. You know, give them the sewer and we'll take the water, you know, kind of thing.
Is it,
And we'll have time to work on that too.
As part of the Chapter 86, I'll go about that. They do not fund betterment for anything on it. And it's an old line out through there and everything else. So we're looking at trying to increase the size of it as we're building it. And they will not pay for the betterment of it because the Bull Run Industrial Park and things along that nature. So whatever the price difference is, you know, between what's existing to the betterment, CUB does have to fund that portion of it.
So
Yeah.
would you
What-
charge the potential tenants at
What
Bull
we're
Run
going to do there is, because we'll have time, is we're going to work on that grant money because we're going to try to land somebody into that industrial park and then leverage that for the betterment. Because it's just good business and good practices to anticipate the growth down there. So if you're going to tear it up, you need to put in what you're going to need as best you can determine. But our ratepayers shouldn't fund that because it's going to provide for that industrial park down there, and really the state ought to be the ones that are going to back that because they'll be the beneficiaries of that.
And that cap is for both parts?
No, that's
Just the electric?
Separate.
2.5 is separate, okay.
That's right.
so are those lines, at least on the water and sewer side, are they on the north side or the south side, or is it a little
They're on
bit
both sides,
Yeah.
and it is a puzzle. But the fact is, some of them are relatively new, you know. So we'll just have to see how all that runs down. But we're going to have the first thing we'll have to do is go out to the design. That's right. So I recommend you approve work order 1102W.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. McNally. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's move to approval of bad debt.
Annually, we have we write off bad debts. We all are collecting all year round, and I think Dusty has finally elevated him to PowerPoints on this kind of stuff. So he'll share.
You throw it in
How
the
many
chat
pages is
GPT
it?
like your general manager down there. I need flying stuff all over the place.
I don't have anything flying. No, it's not, I'm not to that level.
Well,
yet.
Greg lets enough fly down that end so that you'll be
Thank
fine.
you,
So.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that.
So you'll see, Mr. Jones pulled up here. What we like to talk about when we talk about bad debts, we also like to talk about our flex pay, which is our prepay program. And I'm just going to start off by hitting the highlights. So we implemented this program. First full year was in 2014. And since then, we've saved about $2.4 million in net write-offs. Our gross write-offs are down, looking at a 5-year average from 298,000 to about 76,000 per year. It's down 75%. Net write-offs are down 79% from 239 to about 50,000 per year, and our recovery rate is up about 15%. So those are some nice benefits of the program that we have. If we go to the next slide. So what is FlexPay? Just a reminder, FlexPay is a prepay program. It gives customers a simpler way to manage their utility costs. It allows customers to sign up for service relatively easily without deposits. They don't pay late fees, disconnect fees, reconnect fees, any type of fees. And they're able to pay on their own schedule in a way that fits their budget. They're able to monitor their usage daily, which allows them to become more knowledgeable about how they're using their services and conserve energy. And they also have the ability to pay off past due balances that they've had with us before. If you'll go to the next slide. So again, talking about FlexPay, it's lowered our net write-offs by about 79%. This chart shows from 2009 to 2013 where we were before we introduced this program. And then of course after that shows where we are today. And we can see that our net write-offs have stayed consistently low. And at times have gotten very low. Could be due to a number of factors, but we're very happy with the results of the program. Go on. Total gross write-offs have fallen by about 75%. At one point in 2009, we were over $325,000 write-offs per year. This year, we're just looking at $77,000 write-offs to be approved. Could get the next slide. And then this also shows us our recovery for the program. Those early years when we first instituted FlexPay, because it was new where we could collect on those balances. People keep their power on when they made a payment. 70% of what they paid will go to their current bill. 30% will go to pay off old debt. So when we first introduced the program, we had great success in recovering some of these accounts that had been written off previously. And that continues today. While it's not as high as it was early in the stages, that's because our write-offs have decreased so substantially that we wouldn't expect that rate of recovery, the dollars of recovery to continue. But the rate of recovery has increased over what it was before we introduced FlexPay. Does anybody have any questions about the program?
I do. Do you know kind of ballpark percentage or count of how many people participate in FlexPay by chance? Is it
Yeah.
5%, 10%?
Yeah, I think it's, well,
Like
percentage
ballpark?
wise, I think we're about 2,400 people on
So
the
of the
program.
10,000?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know people that are on fixed incomes that do this, and it's really helped them out a lot. Particularly when like this July is going to be one of those
Sure.
crazy months. Should we consider kind of maybe push another article into the Courier, kind of highlighting this?
Sure.
Just to, because I think particularly with the economy the way it is, it might be good to show that there is a flexible, that the UCB's trying to work with people.
We like this because it avoids late payments from
Yes.
our customers, and which over a year's time that could be a month.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Almost a free month. But I think it's fair to say in 2014 when we put this in, you can't do this unless you have AMI. It's advanced metering infrastructure. So we've had this since 2005, and some of our sister utilities can't do it because they don't have AMI.
You may want to consider my suggestion then, if you think about whether that's a good thing to do or not. How's that? So I think it's a good service. Maybe we just work.
I think it is a good service.
But now we want to.
Yeah.
Anyway, y'all can decide it. I'll purely defer to y'all on that one. So, okay. Any other questions on that?
When you look at a $77,000 write-off
Oh,
at $100 million, I mean, I can't even count how many points off of a zero that is, but that's a pretty tremendous reduction in a write-off for so much that we bring in. So we're very proud of that.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at on the financials, comparing that, just the fraction of a percent that we're writing off.
When we were hitting 300,000.
Yeah.
That's huge. All right. Any other questions on that? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Other business. I think this is the document that, I don't know if y'all need a copy, that we sent out. You got one. That,
Appreciate
Chase,
it.
do you copies?
A couple questions before we get into.
Oh, yeah, sure. That's fine. Yeah.
Do y'all care to put the water quality thing in the packet you all send to the city? Because I want to tout the
Sure.
good water.
Oh, yes.
Sure.
And,
Absolutely.
get a mention there. And we passed a moratorium on data centers for 3 months. I think the county's done it. I read today, I think Knoxville did it.
They did.
And I understand it can be loud, it can use a lot of water, it can use a lot of electricity. But is there anything we need to know about as a board to educate us about that thing?
Well, thank you for bringing that up. It was almost amusing to some of us because the issues are generally utilities. I understand sound, but they really got that part figured out. They even have the water part figured out. Electricity is the key. So what drives that is the capacity. Do you have the capacity for that? And if you've got the capacity unused, it is a plus for the community to have the data center in there. Assuming you've got, it's not set down and taking a park away from you or something like that.
Or a
It is-
zoo.
Sir?
A zoo.
A zoo, right. What is it that is the part that people are afraid of? And that is if it takes the electricity away from you, you see. So it all gets down to, we almost would self-regulate if someone came in and said, as with any industry, here's the requirements of what I need. I need 6 megawatts, you see, or 10 or whatever it is. Do you have the capacity for that? The answer is either yes or no. And if it's no, can we get it? And if we can't get it, can you produce it? So really what would self-regulate the data centers would be the individual utilities in the locations, because we're spread across so many counties. If they're in an area that is rural and our substation has capacity to serve that, and TVA can meet that capacity, it makes good sense to put it in. But that would all be someone with interest, and then it's about location, and it's about what do you need to do that. But we're fine with the moratorium. It just excludes a potential industry that provides property tax that would provide an additional revenue stream.
Now, did Musk did I read that he did his own?
They're requiring that.
Would they buy, I'm trying to understand, do they buy directly from TVA
No,
and bypass
no.
us?
What they'll do is they're requiring them to generate. So you'll have to self-generate, and that means that they're going to put gas on there, and they'll have generators to do that. In other words, they're going to have to make up for the capacity that they take out.
And a lot of that has to do with the utility. I mean, he's down in the Memphis area, and they don't have a lot of extra capacity, from what I understand, so they have to supplement. But people forget we've had data centers in Anderson County for decades out at Oak Ridge. I mean, there's one computer in particular that I worked on. It's a 40 megawatt supercomputer that's in production right now, which is 40% of about the whole city of Oak Ridge's power. And nobody knows because there's really no impact. If you do it the right way, that's the key.
We had I guess maybe 10, 15 years ago, we had a project on the hook for making solar panels, and they are great big users. It was I think 35 megawatts or something like that, which that's a whole new substation for something like that, but there was the capacity to serve that. The deal fell through.
Fell through up here.
That's right. It fell through, but it's all about who's going to pay for that. And what we would do is we would have a problem with anybody putting in enough to generate and then using the utility for the last resort if they try to put solar in or something like that, because we are the suppliers of electricity.
So somebody asked me, top level view, as long as CUB's involved in the process, we should be fine.
That's right, because we
City or
we will, the utility will be the demarcation of whether it's a go or no go.
It's that in the network. Yeah, both of those things.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we've got this question, we're going to be discussing city planning. And I think most everybody's attitude is just put a moratorium on it, just say we're not going to have them. I mean, but we do need data centers. I mean,
I don't understand why they would want why they're so obdurate about that decision.
Well, it's just so easy to hear things and say no. I mean,
Right,
the easiest thing to
I
do is
think
say
the
no.
3 months was to buy
instead of
time
doing your
to
research,
investigate.
I think that, and I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's
That's
a
fair.
reasonable step. What I will say though too is Loudoun County, Virginia it's about where 70 some odd percent of the U.S.'s internet traffic traverses through before it goes to the rest of the world. Most everything that comes out of these goes through Loudoun County, Virginia. And they're the data center like mecca of almost the world, definitely the U.S. But what they have done by just being there as an industry, their schools,
I know.
their roads, county, city governments, it's incredible. So if it's done the right way, it could be a whole new industry that could really be a big benefit. But there's such public outcry right now against it. You almost didn't have a choice but to put a moratorium in place because that's what everybody wants.
And
right?
what the opponents say too is, well, they just don't bring many jobs because you got a skeleton staff there. You have a big footprint, but like it's not like somebody working at a plant making a good hourly wage.
Right.
Just going to live in your community.
Yeah, they
What-
and, that,
what do
and
we
that's
say?
true. That's
Uh,
true. Outside of construction jobs, they don't generate a ton of long-standing
Revenue.
careers. But what I would say, from a revenue standpoint, you're not getting it in terms of jobs. You're getting it in terms of whatever tax deal you set
That's
up.
right.
Or
Okay.
honestly, the biggest benefit, in my opinion, is the grid resiliency because they require 5 nines of uptime. And so what that does is it builds out resiliency that the rest of the ratepayers end up benefiting from just because they're on the grid.
And they're willing to pay for it.
And they're
Yeah.
willing to pay for it.
Yeah, so
And-
it
and
can
why-
be a good thing.
That's why we would be so attractive because of the resiliency that we
So, another thing too that we hear is, well, they move in, get all set up, and then they might be gone tomorrow.
and that's all right because
I
they're
said-
going to leave whatever generation that they've got sitting there, and we'll take it over.
Sure. So in my comment to someone even today about that, I was asking about it. I said, you can be sure the CUB's not going to get out on a limb and let them cut it off. They never have. You know, that's just not run that way. So, I mean, you're going to get up front what you need to be in the business.
We'll get it up front. We'll get a contract, and we'll get a bond
Yeah.
to make sure that they can leave the next day.
So there's going to be a discussion
You could go.
in city planning, you know, and I'm afraid a lot of people don't even think of any benefit. They just hear this public outcry. And you did make mention that if it was in a rural area, I'd say that'd be a very difficult thing. I mean, I think already in the city of Clinton, we have it in our zoning that the only place that they fit is in industrial.
Right.
So that's where it would be if it comes to Clinton. I can imagine it being.
It's not like I'm a proponent. I'm just not opposed. I just don't. I think every negative should be addressed.
Yeah.
But to me, it boils down to, do you have the capacity? And if you don't, what's the alternative?
And I think a lot of the negatives are unrealistic, really. You know,
There,
they're
and a lot of it's just
more
been-
hearsay than.
Exactly. It's being perpetuated in the mainstream media, all the negativity of it. And I was recently at a conference, and there was a survey given, and the survey results showed that majority of people would rather have a nuclear plant in their backyard than a data center. Now it's just, and that was exactly, and which was surprising. But that was actual statistics that what they would rather
Is there
have.
some industry against this, or is it just people that have gotten off on a tangent? I don't understand the.
I think it's misinformation, and because of the social media, you hear the negative. There are no proponents. There's only those that are, against, plastic, microwaves. I don't know. Let's just say meters.
Well, and I wouldn't be so sure that it's not some foreign entity injecting misinformation to try to capture the data centers
Right.
in their home country too, because there's a lot of benefits to having it. Again, I'm not a proponent for it, but I think it's an industry worth looking into.
I do too.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other
Good.
questions?
Good information.
Mr. General Manager, you got any? Well, I'll finish up this.
No,
other
sir.
segment.
Well, other than the fact that next month we're going to do the annual review of our self-funded health program, which we normally do at Hawkins.
So in front of you, I think I tried forwarding it out last night, but apparently I did not do a good job. So Greg had to clean it up for me. I think last month we had a question about what an appropriate potential increase was for general managers. So we jumped on, I guess, two things. There's what was an appropriate percentage for the last fiscal year for a potential merit increase or an adjustment. And there was a second piece that said, hey, what kind of structure can we put in place going forward to ensure that we are rewarding merit, any merit-based adjustment based on some level of criteria, other than we think the general manager did a good job or not, right? So I think the second piece of that is under development by CBiz. We will have something to come back to you next month with around how to gauge 2026-2027 fiscal year, and at the end of this fiscal year that we're in today. It will be based around kind of how the organizations perform financially, quality, safety, uptime, those kind of things. And so, but we are working on that. We should have something there next month. Relative to the question about, we got into a discussion last month about the general manager salary. We know that the general manager gets a 3% COLA adjustment, like the rest of the employees. But we asked them about, do you have any input around what any potential merit increase could have been this past year? So they sent this summary document back out. So just to recall, the general manager, if you think about experience, etc., longevity in the job, etc., the general manager's in what we call the 75th percentile, which basically means he's been around a long time and in the job for a long time, and so he's at the upper end of that upper quartile of that performance. If you look, and they've got down the kind of box in the bottom left hand corner. Well, you start the boxes below that P75 line at the top, where it says market government premium. Inflation last year was about 4.2%, and you can see the kind of conversation here. But so if you look under compensation committee guidance, there was a kind of a 3% of COLA that was approved for the general manager, this for the general employees, but also that goes to the general manager. They talked about that theoretically, given where inflation has been, you couldn't have actually taken the COLA higher, given where inflation has been this past year. They also state under the third bullet that and it's the bullet up in the big box, that 5.2 to 5.7% represents a supportable approach which reflects the performance of the GM and ensure maintaining the 75th percentile. So if you'll recall, the data and salary information that we were able to look at late last year the data was lagging because it was year two behind, and because the data is just not reported timely. So you kind of got, how is that data translated into current salary, and then how is the market moving compared to the general manager's current salary? And so they also don't suggest that we they try to avoid increases above the range, because they in the compensation world, you try not to get people beyond the threshold, the cap up there. So bottom line, what is at least CBiz's recommendation based on this is that there's they propose a 5.2 to 5% range. Obviously that is up to us. I think we discussed last month there was already a 3% COLA. I think we had there was a motion that was put forward, and I think even seconded maybe, but then we tabled it for this information to be brought back of a 2%. So that if we did a combined 5%, that would still be below the recommended range just for the base salary increase alone. So we said we would bring this information back for discussion and review, and then we've got the second piece coming next month that'll be around how to, on a go-forward basis, evaluate the manager's performance against certain criteria. So I open it up for discussion and comments.
So this additional that we're possibly considering is for the previous year's performance. Next month will be the current year's performance.
The piece we bring, this is for last year's and how we finished the year. This upcoming would be how we would assess the general manager's performance, and so that we're creating basically a formula so that when we get to year end, it's not as subjective as it has been historically. And so if you really think about where we have come in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of open debate about what the basis was, what the market compensation study was. And I think we have slowly chipped away at putting this to bed, to at least make it a more data-driven decision-making process. And I think by this last step of assessing, kind of the processing going in for next year, then it just continues to erode, to eliminate that subjectivity to the process.
So when we started the CBIZ, I came in after this data had already been given.
Right.
And I understand this data was the year before,
Right.
at least. Was it 427,830? I don't know why I marked something out. If you look at this chart, it said 414,353. But if we look up here at cash compensation, 379. I mean, my numbers are all, I've written so many notes. Is the current after the 3%? I've got a note here. I've got a box around it, so I hope it's accurate. 455,260 as of 6/11/26 with 3%.
Base. What column are you looking at?
Well,
And it so the
did we
total.
start at the 4? Okay, so let's go to salary.
Yeah, let's go to total cash comp.
Compensation. Is
What's
that
the base salary today, Greg? Do you have that in front of you?
$2.16 an hour. We go by the hour.
Okay.
Times 2080. Is that what y'all do? 2080.
So that's 449,280. And then does that include is that with or without the benefits? That's just your hourly salary?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's
Is that after the 3%?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
Okay. So this
So-
is a bad number.
And so yes, so
Not all
that's
far. Okay.
So 450 approximately.
basically it's 449,280. Yeah, 449,280.
Well, it's probably 216 and change pennies.
Yeah, I would get. And so what we got to is we said he based on the GBIZ recommendation, he needed to be at the 75th percentile, and then we had the benefits. And so
But when we started all of this CBIZ stuff,
yeah,
we were at 379.
we were
379, 537. Yeah.
Okay.
and we bought and we
Well,
go ahead. Sir.
Well,
That was
I think
2 years.
I think the thing
That's
is
a year
everybody needed to get apples and apples,
Yeah.
so the data reflected the same year.
And I think, was it 23 data or 24 data?
It lagged 2 years, I think. I think it was 20. I think we got it in 2025, and I think it was 2023. Is that correct?
I think so.
I think it lagged 2.
Is that right? I'd have to go back.
I don't know. All right.
Further thoughts on I think I talked to you last time about in discussions with the general manager. He recognizes that we do not need to pursue that other additional income. It's there's still a gap, right, that we talked about. And I think even to Mr. Crowley's point last year when we had this conversation, it was better to have maybe more in the base salary and give up some of that other. I remember that was a conversation that we had as well. So, but I do think, I think when you look at the total compensation, it got a little wonky in there of how we exactly evaluated those numbers. But I think what we're asking does the board have a interest or recommendation for any type of merit increase for this past year?
I mean, I don't know that my mind has been changed since last month. I mean, I think with the result that we've got from CBIZ, that 2% that I suggested last month based on good performance, I would still stand by that. I don't know if we're ready as a board to make a motion and vote on it since we're just seeing it for the first time. But I'm open to discussing it.
Would it have? I mean, I think we've heard on numerous occasions prior. At some point, when do we decide we want to make a decision to move on and just get it behind us? And so, rather than kicking the can another month, do we want to just go ahead and take a vote tonight, take a recommendation if there's a second, and then just go ahead and vote on it? And that way, we can just because I think we all got, I think we all got a little tired last fall dealing with it 3 or 4 months in a row. And I know we're going to have to bring it back again next month in terms of setting criteria for 2027. So,
Yeah, it'd be good to get it behind us
So-
if we're using next month to focus on what we do the
Yeah.
current year.
are you willing to put that in the form of a motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion.
Okay.
We give them a 2% based on performance.
Is there a second? I will make the second, and we'll move to a roll call vote if that's okay. Mr. Crowley.
I need to pass. This is the first time I've seen this.
Okay. Mr. McNally.
Yes.
I vote yes. Well, Mr. McBride.
I would vote no.
Mr. Harrell. Okay. All right. Motion fails due to tie. So we will move forward with the next month. We will bring back the recommendation for how to proceed with 2027, so that we can kind of, again, I look back at what we have. Again, I think this body this time over the last year or two has done a lot of hard work. I think we have gotten the we've gotten the general manager's compensation in line. I think we gave him a big bump this past year to get him more in line with the market. But I think we've done the work that we've been asked to do, which is to get a formula in place, a market methodology for, because I think that was a concern of whether or not his compensation was in line with the market and other similar type jobs. So I think regardless, we have done our job to get us to here. It may have been a little painstaking at times, but I think it was the right thing as a body to do. But General Manager, we do appreciate the work that you and your team do. Okay, and I just want to make sure that we express that. But we will proceed then with.
I think we proved that already.
We have.
I
Yes,
mean,
sir.
that shouldn't be a question.
Correct. But I thought it'd be good to state it anyway again.
Because, here's one of the things, when we look at this, every one of us have people that know us and know that we're on this board. And that we're not elected at all. We don't have constituents, but we have friends and family and acquaintances, and they hold us accountable for what we do. So, I mean, I don't know how this came up. I don't know if our general manager asked for another 2% beyond the 3%, but it is the first I've had a chance to look at it. So I would like to know how it came up.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it came up. Kind of our annual cycle. We get done at the year end. We look at, the COLA adjustments. We're going through the budget process, and then usually we also at the end of the year have that question about should we provide. It's added in the contract. I think it's at the board's discretion whether or not, we feel like any additional compensation, merit-based increase is allowed, or warranted. And so it came up last week or last month in a discussion as well as a motion. So that's how it came up. So. All right. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Is there any other business that we need to cover? Mr. General Manager, any other thing else we need to discuss?
No, sir.
All right. Let's meeting be adjourned then.
So moved.